week. And I don't know if you guys watched any football tonight, but it was actually quite fun to see the teams that are playing really well. And so I wanted to get on here, and honestly, I hope that everybody's had a great weekend. I hope that everybody was safe. I can't believe that we are literally into our second week into the new year. So it's just amazing how fast time goes by. And so I hope that you guys are doing well. As you guys come into this live, if you wouldn't mind, drop your location in the chat. I'm always curious as to where people are located. So if you wouldn't mind, let me know where you guys are tuning in from. I just got back in from Provo, Utah. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, but I'm always curious as to where people are located. And so I'm here. Nebraska, Susanna, Banana. I think you've been on here before. Miji, thank you. What part of Nebraska are you in? I think you've told me before, but I used to live in Lincoln, Omaha, and I was in Blair, Nebraska. Living here in Arizona, it's obviously a lot warmer, and even our winters are very mild, unless you go up north to like the mountains. But I just remember it being so cold living in Nebraska. I mean, I think the coldest it ever got, Gretna, I know where Gretna is. The coldest it ever got when I was there was -44, and that was with the wind chill factor. And I'm like, how do people live in this? Because it literally is so cold. It's like, it blew me away that, a lot of my service projects while I was there was shoveling people's driveways. It was crazy. And so how long have you lived there, if you don't mind? And thank you. If you guys are just tuning in, if you wouldn't mind, drop your location in the chat. I'm always curious where people are located around the world. So I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona. We've got Miji from Arizona. We've got Susanna from Nebraska, which is a very cold place. And actually, I just got back from Provo, which was actually really, really cold. Phoenix too, Stephen J, awesome. Appreciate you hopping on. We are a tough bunch in Nebraska. Why am I being restricted already? It's crazy. It says that your live is not eligible for recommendation and is restricted in search results because it redirects users to purchase products. It's so crazy that I'm literally just getting on and already getting restricted. I must be doing something right if I'm getting restricted for doing absolutely nothing wrong. So I'm going to appeal it. I'm hoping that it will. It's crazy that, Susanna, it's interesting is I fight these restrictions all the time, but I haven't even begun to talk about what it is that I'm getting on this live to talk about. And it blows me away that the restriction just comes that quick. So I don't know if there's somebody that's on this live that maybe shouldn't be on this live. I don't know. It's crazy. Well, Angel, the interesting thing is I haven't even been on this live for 4 minutes. And all I've talked about is where people are located and, just, coming back to Arizona from Provo, Utah. But I haven't even begun to talk about the reason why I've gotten on here. So there's no reason for somebody to report, right? And there's certainly no reason for me to be restricted. I get on here and I provide education. TikTok Shop is part of TikTok. It's not something that I utilize. It blows me away. I literally haven't even been on for 4 minutes, and I have mentioned nothing about why I do these lives. But my goal when I come on these lives is to provide education. And it's crazy that that this can happen when I do these lives. It doesn't make any sense. But honestly, when I get on these lives, my whole goal is to provide education. My whole goal is to provide a way for people to understand, number one, why it is that we are sick, right? We live in a world where people are sick all over the world. We are probably far more medicated than we ever have been, and it's not getting better. It's actually getting worse. And so when I get on here, my whole goal is just to provide education. Okay. I'm not here to try and sell somebody anything. Charlie, I don't know if you can see, but I have a cat that is trying to, hey, Charlie, stop trying to open the doors. But my whole goal is to get on here and just provide education. Okay. And I love it when, oh my gosh, it's so crazy that you've got Hedgehog. Wow. It's so crazy, the people that come on these lives. But yeah, so for those of you that don't know me, okay, when I get on these lives, I provide education. Okay, I want people to understand why our bodies act the way that it does. And most importantly, I want people to understand what we can do to start improving our health. That's it. Okay, I'm living proof that you could have insulin resistance, okay, which is something that affects 93%. Hey, Jim C, I don't know if you're on this live, but I'm curious, Jim, if you have been restricted doing your lives. I was on this live for not even 3 minutes and was already getting restricted, and I hadn't even begun to talk about anything. There's some weird people, literally, that like I just don't get. DNA mindset matters. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm 100 meters from your location. Wow. That's interesting. There's some weird people in this world today. But anyways, I was just in Provo, Utah, and I got back, and I'm excited to get back to work. I love educating people. I love empowering people to understand what you can do to start improving your health. Insulin resistance, folks, is something that affects all of us, right? It's caused by the foods that we eat. It's caused by the stress in our lives. It's caused by an infinite amount of things, right? Gary, I don't know. I mean, when I got on this live, I mean, I literally was just inviting people to let me know where they were tuning in from, which is very simple, right? As you jump into this live, I'm curious where people are located around the world. I love the technology that we have that connects people from literally all over the world. But the restriction's crazy. I have no idea why I was getting restricted, but nonetheless, I'm going to continue to get on here and talk about, things that can literally help people, right? Insulin resistance, folks, it affects all of us, right? How many of you have, skin issues, skin tags, psoriasis, eczema, right? How many of you are carrying a lot of extra weight that no matter what you do, you just can't seem to lose the weight? Okay. How many of you have diabetes, right? Diabetes affects so many people. 54% of the United States population, unfortunately, has, diabetes, prediabetes, type 2. What about high blood pressure? What about high cholesterol, right? These are all things that, unfortunately, a lot of people are affected by. And when we go to a doctor, okay, what they do is they diagnose and they treat the symptoms. I mean, it's crazy to think that, that's we treat the symptoms. You can never fix the root cause by treating the symptoms. And folks, if you are open to, like, if you feel like you're getting value and you want to learn, the only way that we can get this content out is if you guys are tapping the screen, right? If you're tapping the screen, you're sharing this with people that need this, right? Here's the deal, right? If you want to make a big impact in business or in life, you've got to be able to solve a major problem. And right now, the biggest issue in the world is insulin resistance. It affects 93% of us. Okay. Oh my God, there's so many so many idiots. It's crazy. I wish you guys could see the messages that I'm getting on. It's crazy. People are crazy. But nonetheless, oh my gosh, I need to save this because I want you guys to be able to see this message. It's crazy. Meiji, I'll have to show you when I get off this live, but it's crazy. So what is insulin resistance, right? How do you know if you guys even have it, right? Because it is something that has often been glossed over, okay? But if you struggle with any of these symptoms, right, that tells you right there that you have what is called insulin resistance, okay? Because it is something that affects so many people. But how did we get here, right? How are so many people affected by these issues? Right? How many of you on here, in order to lose weight, right, your doctor told you that you had to eat within, 30 minutes of waking up, right? And that you've got to eat every hour to 2 hours. If this is the case, I mean, this is a big deal, right? What we need to understand is that every time we eat food, especially sugar and carbs, it spikes our blood sugar. And when it spikes our blood sugar, it causes your insulin to raise. And when insulin goes up, okay, it's a big deal, right? It affects so many of us, right? And the reality is that they always kind of tell you what they're doing to you, right? Think about the foods that we eat, okay? Let me see here. And so, for those of you, right, think about a diet that's full of processed foods, right? Seed oils, trans fats, okay? What happens is that it just increases the inflammation, it increases the harmful bacteria. All of this starts to grow. Even diseases like diabetes and Hashimoto's, right? And there's a couple things that I teach that actually can help improve people's health: fasting and fiber, right? Fasting is an absolute game changer because what it does is it helps to reboot your stem cells. It gives your gut a break. It reduces inflammation and autoimmune chaos. And when you fast, okay, your body repairs the tight junctions. It eases things like IBS and Crohn's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, right? And then the power of fiber, right? When you have the right types of fiber, like soluble and insoluble fibers, what it does is it comes together and it creates a barrier. It helps to prevent fatty liver disease. It helps to regulate your blood sugar. It helps to crush cravings, which is what sometimes we need in trying to improve our health, right? And so this is the reason why I get on here every single day, because 93% of us have it. 54% of people are pre-diabetic or type 2. Okay. 74% of American adults are overweight. 50% of our kids are overweight or obese. I mean, this is a big deal, right? And every time we eat food, especially sugar and carbs, that's what it does, is spikes our glucose to raise, right? And it causes a lot of health issues. And so what happens is your body's been warning you this entire time, right? You've got start to get high cholesterol, you start to get high triglycerides, right? LDL, that's fatty liver. You start to get PCOS, right? There's 26% of American women have PCOS. Men have erectile dysfunction, low testosterone, right? And I'm not talking about guys in their 60s, I'm talking about guys in their 20s. Okay, these are all early signs. And what happens is that you finally blow out your pancreas, and now you've got diabetes. And when you get diabetes, folks, your cardiovascular risk goes up by 80%. Right? Your Alzheimer's risk goes up by, 81%. Now, why am I sharing this? I'm sharing this because the reality is that so many of us are affected by these issues. And yet when we go to a doctor, doctors diagnose and treat the symptoms. That's what they do. And now we've got celebrities that are promoting these weight loss meds and probably most of them aren't even using it, right? They're paid to do these ads. And when you see a celebrity that's promoting this, you think, well, if it's safe for them, right, it's safe for me. And sometimes we put way too much faith in the promoters of these. And the reality is this stuff is making you sick, right? It's not actually helping you to get better. It's actually causing you to get sick. And so at the end of the day, folks, I just want you to understand that if you are struggling with your health, you can improve it without the need for meds or diets or crazy exercises. It's actually simple. It's easy. And if there's any one of you that's been struggling with your health, the hope is that when I share these lives, it's giving you hope. Right? That should give you hope, and knowing that you don't need meds or you don't need diets to fix this. You know, what I'm doing isn't a diet. It's not a supplement. It's a simple daily routine. It's something that anyone can do from the comfort of your home. There's no pills. There's no injections. There's no crazy workouts. And, you know, there's a simple tool, a chlorogenic tea and a fiber matrix that I've been using for 2 years that is listed in the physician's desk reference, right? Your doctor can look this up. In fact, you guys can look up any medications that you might be on. You can look up the side effects. You see, most people don't realize that there's a lot of side effects to the medications that you're on. People can use their HSA and FSA. I mean, it's incredible that most people, when we go to a doctor, all they're doing is treating our symptoms. They're not really helping us to fix the root cause. And my hope and my prayer is that what I share helps people to avoid the mistakes that I made. Right? And so, you know, back in November of 2014, I donated a kidney to my sister's husband. It was, 7 years later that I was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney disease. My nephrologist said that if I didn't lose weight, if I didn't change my diet, that I was going to end up on dialysis. I mean, how many of you honestly are struggling with your health and your doctor just wants to put you on more meds? If you're sick and tired of being on meds, you can fix it. You can improve it in ways that don't require you to go to the gym twice a day or even once a day, right? You don't have to go every single day. Fitness is important. Even going for a simple walk can make a huge impact after you've eaten a meal, right? But again, most of us are, we don't know what we don't know, right? And if we continue to do the same things that we've been doing for, ever, right? We've got to start making some changes, and that's important, right? Change is important, right? If we keep doing the same things over and over again, expecting a different result, we obviously know what happens with this. And folks, if you're affected by your health, right? Okay, you can fix it and you can improve it without the need for meds, right? I use this simple protocol. I wake up in the morning and I skip breakfast. I make this chlorogenic tea and I sip on it all morning whenever I'm not eating. It actually helps me to fast. It shuts the food noise off. It increases my energy and it increases my body's ability to burn fat. Okay? It literally does what I need it to do so that my body can start healing. See, our bodies are powerful. God knew what he was doing when he created us, right? Your body has the ability to start healing itself. But we've got to be able to give our body the right tools in order to do that. And so if you are affected by these, okay, folks, you can improve your health in ways that diets, calorie restriction will never be able to do, right? How many of us are familiar with the standard American diet, right? How many of you have ever, this is kind of what happens, right, here in America, right? How many of you were told to eat first thing in the morning, okay? Eat first thing in the morning and you're supposed to snack in between breakfast and lunch, and then you have your lunch, then you have another snack, and then another snack, and then you have dinner, and then you have dessert, and then another snack, right? How many of us were told to eat 3 meals a day and to snack 2 to 3 times throughout the day? If you've ever been given that advice, okay, you're affected by this. You know, I wish that we had more people in this live. I don't get the restriction, but, you know, I'm going to continue to do my best to share information that can make an impact in people's lives. That's what this is all about. I don't get the restriction. I don't know, but I want you guys to understand that if you are struggling with your health, whatever it might be, you can actually fix it. You can improve it naturally. And that's what this is all about, is helping you to understand that medications are not the answer, right? Now, I'm not anti-medicine and I'm not anti-doctor. I'm anti-ignoring the root cause. We've got to understand the root cause. Because when you understand the root cause, you can start to improve your health, right? So when I wake up in the morning and I sip on this chlorogenic tea, it shuts the food noise off, right? This is a natural metformin. This is a natural Ozempic, does the same thing, right? And if you get to lunch and you're hungry, have lunch. And then right after lunch, you're going to make your second one of these and you're going to sip on it all afternoon. And again, it just helps to, you know, lower the glucose and the insulin spikes. It helps to eliminate, you know, the desire to snack in the afternoon, right? And then right before your biggest meal, you take this blend of fiber. Fiber is something that our body needs. We're not getting enough of it, right? The food industry started intentionally taking fiber out of our foods, and they did this on purpose, right? Fiber is what actually slows down the gut, your digestion, right? It's what allows your body to get the nutrients that it does. Sometimes when your digestion is so fast, your body doesn't get this. And so if you're eating a bunch of sugar and carbs, right, it really does help to slow down the digestion of the sugar and the carbs from the foods that we eat. Okay. But all of this is important, right? And folks, I'm going to be jumping on a live tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., okay, Mountain Standard Time. If you are here in the US or wherever, I typically get on every morning at 6:30 to 7 a.m., but tomorrow I'll be getting on at 7 a.m. Okay, if there's anything that I can do to assist you, please let me know, right? If you've been praying to learn of some alternative ways to improve your health that doesn't require a medication, okay, right? You know, what's interesting is that when you go to a doctor, they spend really less than 10 minutes with you, and then they send you home with the prescription, right? And here's the part that nobody tells you, right? If I've got IBS, if I've got migraines, if I've got cholesterol issues, and I go to a doctor, okay, and let's say that I go to 3 different doctors just because I want 3 different opinions, right? They're gonna give you, you're gonna walk home with at least 2 to 3 different medications, and not one of those even touches the root cause of your health issues. Folks, all they're doing is managing the numbers, the symptoms. But the moment you come off those meds, guess what happens? All of the symptoms come back. Why is it that you and I can white knuckle a diet for 2 weeks? We lose the weight, and then it comes right back. Okay? Folks, what if instead of chasing the symptoms, we tackled the one thing that's causing them all? That would make the most sense, right? And that's my hope and my prayer as I get on these lives every day, is just to make an impact, right? And, right, my information is right below the TikTok shop, okay? And my goal is just to help share information that can impact your life in a positive way, right? If you're struggling with your health in some way today, the information that I share could change your life. And if you know somebody that needs to hear it, feel free to share the live with them so that people can hop on, they can listen, they can ask questions. Okay. I've posted a few more videos over the last couple of days. And again, if there's anything that I can do to help you, that's what I get on these lives and do, because I know, as somebody that, you know, reversed stage 4 kidney disease, right? I did that without meds, without some crazy diets, right? I did it simply. Fasting, right? Going longer periods of time without putting food into my mouth, right? increasing my fiber intake, and utilizing a tool that is not only clinically proven, but it's guaranteed to work. Folks, if you decide to try this, right, this tea and this fiber, it comes with a 90-day happiness guarantee. So if you use it and you're not happy, just get your money back. You lose nothing. But if you're on a bunch of meds and you feel like you're never going to be able to get off your meds, I would encourage you to try this, right? There's no risk. The worst part is if it doesn't work, you get your money back, and you can't beat that. Okay, folks, I really do appreciate you guys hopping on this live. I don't get the restriction in the first 4 minutes. It's crazy, but hopefully we can figure out a way to counteract that so that we're not getting restricted in the first 4 minutes. I don't get it. But I really do appreciate the questions and those that were on here. Thank you for tapping the screen. Gary and Miji, thank you for hopping on, and thank you to everyone else who was listening. Right, I appreciate you that we're still on this live listening. Again, I don't understand the restrictions, but it sounds to me like there's a lot of people that are talking about insulin resistance and why it's affecting so many people, and I guess there's just more and more people that are getting restricted. So guys, I hope that you guys have a good evening. I'm going to jump on tomorrow morning, and if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. God bless you. Thanks, Gary.